Heidi, how you doing?
Hey, Jonathan, pretty good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How's your day going? It's pretty early, but...
No, it's fine. It's fine. I have my tea. I'm good. I'm rocking and rolling. But
good, you're caffeinated.
I'm so sorry about the disconnect and not getting the meeting set up. Things have been moving so fast, and when you email, I was like, oh, no.
Oh, it's all good. I'm sure you have 100 emails a day, so it's really not a big deal. I'm glad it worked out, though.
You're an important one.
What's that?
Said you're an important one.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Hopefully I can convince you of that by the end of the meeting here. But
I have no doubt.
Okay, so I don't know if there was a way that you wanted to start this or if I should go ahead and just start, talking.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically I'd sent you an email, and I'm sure you remember this, but I was applying by the recommendation of Nick Morse and Scott James to hopefully work on your campaign in some capacity. And I, first of all, believe in Republican values, obviously, and also believe in your leadership. And so I decided that I just wanted to help out in whatever way I could, and without being a financial, drain on the campaign. So basically, I want to offer whatever capacity you think I could serve in, just free of charge to the campaign in any way that you see fit. So basically, I had spent a few hours preparing for this interview, and I came up with something called a blueprint for a red Colorado. And so I'm sure you've had many strategic meetings with your team already, but I'm curious, have you come up with a campaign slogan?
Well, not necessarily like a tagline yet, but it's centered around weathering the storm and reaching for the mountaintops.
Okay.
Is kind of the theme, and that's what the logo is centered around, like, the reaching the mountaintops theoretically in your life, like going big, and that's what Colorado is all about, like rugged individualism. But no, I'd love to hear your take. Like, we're just now kind of finalizing all this stuff.
Okay. So I have what I think would be a really cool campaign slogan. Kind of has a triple meaning to it. So I think your campaign slogan should be Unleash Colorado. So the obvious, first of all, it sounds cool, but the obvious meaning is, first of all, you're the president and founder of Camp Bow Wow. So you're unleashing Colorado. Kind of has that subtle dog reference to it. But also you're unleashing the Colorado economy and unleashing Colorado from its COVID restrictions. So there's so many ways that this could be tied into your campaign platform. Unleash Colorado. I think it sounds really cool, and I think it has some...
I love it.
Anyway, that's just my silly opinion, but...
It's not a silly opinion. Actually, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I as soon as I thought of it, I was like, dude, that could be the one. But, cool. Okay, so... Again, I'm sure you've had, I don't actually know, but I'm sure you've had at least a few strategic meetings on how you want to launch, what you want your main platform to really be. So here's the thing. If I'm just being totally honest, according to the polls, the odds of you running just a moderate campaign seem to be less than preferable. So
yeah, that's a good way to put it. I call it a moonshot.
Yeah. So I want to just make sure that that I believe that you could actually win. And first of all, if there's any like attitude on your team that is kind of just coasting and not actually, they don't seem like they have the idea that there's actually, like, this is actually going to win, then that is just going to be like detrimental to the morale of the team. So I think that should just be an idea that should be eliminated, I think, from the morale of the campaign team. Even just the possibility that you could lose, I don't think that should even be considered. But what I was going to say is that Polis right now has the luxury of running a campaign where he can just coast. and kind of just be a little bit more moderate. And he doesn't have to say too much. He just has to say the things that he needs to say. He doesn't have to say anything too crazy because he's already the one that's been elected. So the thing is, if he runs a campaign where he's just coasting, and then you do the same thing where you're running just as a super, like, plain, moderate, coasting. I mean, I've said the word a few times. If you do that, if you both do that, then he's going to end up coming out on top, I think, in my opinion. So I think something that you're going to have to do is, first of all, say things that you believe are true and say things that are principled, but I'll give you an example. So I think that you should say things like you strongly oppose minors taking hormones or getting surgeries to transition to the opposite sex. First of all, that's an extremely popular position. You have about 2/3 of the state of Colorado that agree with you on that. But it also sounds like you're taking a very courageous position when you say that. So you're going to get your base excited while at the same time saying something that a lot of people already agree with. You're not really sticking your neck out too far, if that makes sense. But that is a position that Polis could never take. So he's going to be in the vast minority on something like that. So just saying that you oppose minors taking hormones or getting their genitals mutilated or something like that, it doesn't have to be quite so, vulgar, but just taking a position like that Polis could never take, you're already putting yourself, in the majority on that position. At the same time, getting people excited about your position. That's going to saying things like that will just generate media coverage.
That's brilliant, Jonathan.
What's that?
I said that's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So, so there's exciting things, and then there's regular old standard things that you have to say that aren't going to be like super exciting, like cutting taxes or something like that. Like that just doesn't have any emotional appeal to people. It's always popular. It's always good because, people don't like paying taxes, but that is not like saying things like we're going to cut taxes. That's not getting people like emotionally invested and excited to go out and vote for you, if that makes sense.
One of the things that I keep telling my team that they're kind of like, it's not like it's too elitist or whatever. I'm like, if we just even said, let's get back to skiing in 90 minutes, like, let's just figure this shit out. Like,
yeah.
I think millennials would love that. Families would love that. And they're like, skiing's too elitist. It should be like nature in 90. I'm like, no, you just have to go for the jugular. Like, let's figure out how to get people skiing again from the front range.
Exactly. Yeah. That's awesome. Unleash Colorado. Unleash the skiers.
Yeah, unleash Colorado.
Unleash the skiers to the mountains. No, but yeah, that's totally the vibe that I think we're going for. Just make people want to be like free. I mean, they already do, but they need someone to get behind where they know that that's what they're going to do. So
what do you think on the economy? We've been talking a lot about this. Like, obviously, cut taxes, cut regulations, cut fees. Control spending, but that's all not sexy.
Right.
And it's really about cost of living, I think. Like, people are just like freaking out about the cost of gas and groceries and rent.
Yeah.
I think that's the sweet spot, is like, you got to figure out, and I want to have really action oriented things.
Yeah.
Or really specific things, to your point, like opposing minors taking hormones. But I'm challenging my team to do that right now. Like, figure out, like, it's not just, we got to grow the economy. That's not going to cut it, to your point. I think you got to be laser focused and have some very tangible things that we can actually do.
Right. So, yeah, in terms of, you mentioned gas prices and a few other economic related things. Unleash Colorado energy. Come on now. So basically there's so many, I mean, you did mention this, but there's so many just regulations and things over even natural gas. So if you're concerned about the environment, then why the hell are you opposing natural gas extraction? It doesn't make any sense. Right. It has half the emissions of crude oil. It doesn't make any sense to me. Also, there's so many regulations. This is exciting. I really like this. I did a presentation on this in my class, one of my classes. And so there's this company called Raven SR. They're based out of Wyoming. And they have literally designed it's basically like a modular unit. So it's a pretty big operation. But what they can do is literally take just household garbage and dump it into this machine. It incinerates it. It collects the carbon. And then out the other end comes hydrogen fuel, which is zero emissions. And so they I'm not even joking. I've seen the prototype, I've seen the blueprint, and I've read like all of their specifications and all that stuff. It's just amazing technology, like potentially world changing. Like you're removing the world's garbage on one hand, and then producing a zero emission fuel out the other side. It sounds like magic, but it's a real thing.
Yeah, why is anybody talking about this?
Right. And so the reason is because there's so many overwhelming regulations over energy startups that they just can't even get their feet off the ground. I think they have 1 or 2 prototypes right now that are actually functioning. But it's just like the amount of regulation is just crippling this. And it's like, if you want the environment to improve, then remove regulations, allow these new energy companies to like actually start building themselves up, and you're going to not just help the economy, but you're also going to improve the environment and reduce emissions. It's like the best of both worlds. It doesn't have to be just environment or economy. And so anyway, there's just things like that where it's frustrating to me seeing these little companies like this that could literally be world changing, and they just can't even get their feet off the ground because of the millions of dollars they have to pay just to get over these hoops, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, if I had examples of that, like Unleash Energy. So here's an example of things that could be, earth shattering in this arena. And they can't get off the ground because of the regulation. That's a good way to talk about like getting rid of regulation. I think. But.
Yeah. And even just there's many like cities and counties that even just current existing buildings, they have to go through so many they have to go over so many hurdles just to get even just like solar panels or something like that. It's like you have to get approval through the city and things like that. And so it's like the economy can improve, and also the environment can improve. It doesn't have to be either or, but it's because of these unnecessary regulations that Polis supports. This is why the economy and the environment are both suffering right now.
Huh.
That's
great.
And that's how you can... What's that?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, here's the thing. If you can even just get 5% of Democrats to come your way, even by making arguments that first of all are true to your principles, but also appeal at least somewhat to a Democrat. Because right now there are Democrats that are like, okay, I don't really like this extreme wing. Surely at least 5% of them would be willing to be like, okay, if there's somebody who can make a good, a persuasive argument to me that isn't going to completely uproot my life, then okay, I'm willing to think about it, So if you can get 5% of Democrat voters, then you win, which I think is totally reasonable. I think that's a number that you could potentially expect to get.
Jen, what are you doing right now, like work-wise?
Well, so this summer, I have family friends in Jackson Hole, which is an extremely expensive place to live, but luckily they're letting me stay in their apartment right now. They have like a little guest house on their property. So I'm staying right there. They own a sunglass, like a high-end sunglass shop. So right now I'm selling sunglasses professionally. So it's awesome. I really love my job right now.
Are you going to stay there in the winter, or are you going to come back? Like, are you going to come back to Colorado, or do you know yet?
Yeah, so I'm just staying here for the summer, just because the amount of money that they were offering me was really difficult to pass up. So
and you get to live in Jackson Hole for this
I know.
summer. That's amazing.
It's incredible. Fly fishing, and my in-laws actually have a ranch that's pretty close to here, and so I'm getting to ride 4-wheelers and dirt bikes, and it's a dream. It's awesome. It's actually really been good for like even just our marriage, and like my son, like when you have a kid that was born during COVID and he never really gets to see the outside world all that much, not from our choice, but because of decisions that have been made for us by the government. It's like this kid is just cooped up in a little 700 square foot apartment for the first year of his life. He doesn't get to see the real world. He's not socially interacting with people. I'm like, dude, this is not good for his physical or mental well-being. Like, so anyway, just coming up to Wyoming and having like just outdoor space where he can play and stuff has just been amazing. And our marriage has even benefited from it too. So it's just,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's been great.
Tell me, like, what do you love to do, like, on the campaign stuff? It sounds like you love messaging and the policy stuff, but, like, tactically, do you like organizing people? Do you like more just the creative side, or what is it that's your, like, sweet spot?
That's a really good question. The problem with being... So I think in the email I'd mentioned something about even just being your personal assistant or being an advisor in some capacity or some combination where I have a few different job, things are overlapping. That's fine too. But something where I would be able to basically voice an opinion, because it's so frustrating to me when I'm watching the news or something like that and I see a Republican politician be asked a question, like a difficult question. So, like, here's an example. So there's a lot of people that are saying that the reason you voted for this bill is because, you're a racist. How do you respond to those people? And it's just like, well, a lot of times they'll say something, well, I have just so many black friends. And it's like, if you're defending yourself by saying you have a lot of black friends, first of all, if you're defending yourself at the charge of racism and all, you've already lost in the court of public opinion. Because now you're like, no, guys, I swear I'm not a racist. Like, and then, it's a mess. And I'm like, why? It's frustrating to watch that, because it's like the issue of race is a winning issue for Republicans. But you respond as if your opponent has the moral high ground and that you're somehow at a disadvantage. But it's like, no, you have the entire history of the Republican Party on your side on the issue of racism. Why are you allowing them to, charge you with something that is demonstrably false? And so I actually asked Hugh McKean this question. He came to the Weld County Republican breakfast meeting, I want to say 3 months ago. And I'm like, how would you respond if a reporter came up to you and called you a racist? Like, what, or how would you defend yourself against that charge? And he's like, well, it's a pretty hot button issue. I wouldn't want to, basically he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. And I'm like, dude, just take the bull by the horns and...
Yes. I'm not a freaking racist.
Exactly. But even just talk about all the policies that Democrats have directly instituted that have led to, whether it be black unemployment, the disparity in income, the disparity in educational attainment, just every bad thing that you could possibly think of. Jim Crow, slavery, those are the obvious ones. But even like today, just having, the bigotry of low expectations, for example. Democrats believe that you actually have to lower the academic standards for black people because they wouldn't be able to make it on their own. So saying things like that, painting Democrats as the true racists and being like, what have Republicans ever done? In fact, we're the ones that have been championing civil rights, since the beginning of our party. And it's like, why would you even allow Democrats to take that moral high ground and then just like shake and not have any idea how to respond? It's just so frustrating for me to watch. That's a long way of answering your question. The answer to your question is I would like to be in a position where I would be able to at least just voice my opinion to you or whoever the next in charge would be, even if you don't, do exactly what I say. That's not what I'm asking for. I would just like to at least have my voice heard in the campaign and then contribute in whatever way you ask of me. Like, literally, you tell me, you give me a task to do, and it's done. So something like that. Whatever that job title would be.
I know we're going to need some help on the campaign, and paid help too. And we're just kind of fleshing that out right now, because I just hired a campaign manager. I didn't hire her because I'm not allowed to pay anybody until I announce officially. But
yeah,
a few weeks ago, and I thought that's who I handed off. I think that's who I handed you off to, but maybe it wasn't. Tiffany.
Dacia Henshaw.
Dacia. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, Dacia.
Is
okay.
Just my scheduler and stuff. So you probably got in the mix there where she didn't hand you off to Tiffany. But what I'd like to do is just have you talk to Tiffany or Jalen, the two people who are kind of starting to set up like the ground game and figure out who's going to do what, and see how. I mean, I'd love your help free too, but I think if we're going to have some paid positions, let's get you in the mix for that, and see if we can.
Even better. Even better. Yeah.
Where do you know where you're going to end up living down here in Denver, or do you know yet if you're going to move back here, or if we found a position for you, would you just figure it out?
Yeah, I would basically move mountains to be involved in whatever way I could. I really would like to see Colorado benefit from Republican leadership. So yeah, if I could basically be wherever you needed me to. Obviously, I do have a wife and a kid and another one on the way to think about, but they're very supportive, and I think they'd be happy to follow me, wherever I go. What was I about to say? So before we head out here, I know you're very busy and short on time.
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't have anything like pressing right afterwards, so we can take our time.
Okay, perfect.
What do you know? Like, are you pretty good on social media?
Yes, but the thing is, so you can actually go to my Twitter page and look. But so the problem is, if I had a job that incorporated me doing social media, I would be very good at it and I would love doing it. But I do my best currently to stay off of social media as much as possible. But when I'm on it, so like, actually, this is interesting. Let me read you. It's like some of my more recent tweets have actually gotten a lot of attention. Actually, so one of my references that I put on my resume, her name is Shekinah Geist. She's
Yeah, I know of her.
Oh, really? Have you met her before?
Yeah, Turning Point, right?
What's that?
Isn't she Turning Point?
Yeah. So me and her were friends in high school, but anyway, so she follows me on social media, but she absolutely loves my Twitter account. So I post once a month maybe, but dude, she always retweets it, and then it like just blows up and goes viral. And so anyway, it's really fun. So let me show you this one tweet that I posted. This one got like 100,000 views on Twitter.
What?
Yeah. So I said, this was right before the election. So I said, Democrats, vote for us or we'll burn down your business. And then I said, Republicans, vote for us and we'll help build your business. So it's just showing like the dichotomy. Awesome. Yeah, the dichotomy between how Democrats treat businesses versus how Republicans do.
Okay, what's your Twitter handle?
Real Nate Wiggins. So Nate is my nickname.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Here it is. Better Nate than never. I love that. And you had a podcast or something, right?
I do, yeah. I need to post another episode. It's been a while.
That's okay. Because that's another area you might be able to help us too. Is we're going to keep the Heidi's Colorful Colorado podcast going.
Okay. And
Joe, our intern from CU Boulder, is going to try and kind of manage it for us. But I know he's going to be really busy with school too. So.
Okay.
Oh my God! You got huge traction on that.
Yeah, it's really fun, and then it's like the problem with Twitter is that then you get like addicted to checking your phone every 5 minutes. and you can't set it down. And then I realized, okay, this is like becoming way too time consuming. I'm neglecting my family. So I don't know. If it was part of my job, of course I would really keep on it, but
no, I just meant like, yeah, technically if you like are pretty good at knowing how to do stuff, sounds like you're fine, especially Twitter. Cause it would be really hard to trust somebody to do the Twitter, right? Like, cause you can blow things up, you can do things good, but you can do things bad. But,
yeah.
One of the guys that's going to help on my campaign is, a young guy that works for Turning Point, and he's moving back here to help. And, he does like a lot of their social media, their creative, all that stuff. And so, yeah, I think we're really going to try and do some innovative out of the box things on social media, but I also want to have a really good time on the campaign trail. Like my idea is to do like some fun rallies and have music and, just not make it the typical boring show up, do a speech and leave.
Right.
And, of course, my team is like, we got to just focus on basic blocking and tackling first. I'm like, no, we need to make it fun to be a Republican again. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's all... Sorry, do you have to go?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, so...
the hard part is, because of campaign finance laws, it's so dumb, like the way you have to do it. We're not allowed to pay anybody until I announce. But we're not going to be ready. We wanted to wait to announce because it costs so much money to run the campaign, so we got to save all of our money as long as we can. So we're going to announce September 14th.
Cool.
And then just go after it. We got to try and raise about $1 million before the end of the year, $2,500 at a time. So my time is going to be mostly doing fundraising and showing up to speak and talk to the media, etc. But I basically told my team, I'm like, we want like a fun committee. We want a team of people who are just all about making this fun and engaging and different and out of the box. And I think you'd be awesome for that.
Aw,
whether
thank
you're
you.
paid or not. Like, I think you'd be great for that.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I love the Unleashed Colorado. I don't know why we didn't think of that. Jeez Louise, that's like...
I don't know. I don't know. It just kind of came to me from above or something. I don't know. No, I'm just joking.
Used to do in my speeches after Camp Bow Wow, I'd be like, unleash the American dream, unleash,
Yeah.
But I haven't used it in a while, so I love that.
Heck
and
yeah.
Also, we got to keep puppies in the campaign too. That's how I won Regent, was having a dog with me all the time. And, like, puppy
Find the cutest golden retriever puppy you can possibly find.
My daughter's thinking about getting one right now. I'm like, yeah, golden retriever puppy, we need it.
Yeah.
Because my dog Henry is about 100 pounds. He's a big white lab. He's adorable, but it's not like you can just bring a 100-pound lab everywhere with you.
Yeah, for sure. Be hard to travel with everywhere. So I did want to say a couple other things before we decide to part ways here. I don't know. So like there's some, I did so much preparation. So I mean, there's like debate. Like, is there only one debate that they're having?
No, there'll be more than that. Well, first in the primary, they'll probably have some debates with me and like Greg Lopez or anybody else that hops in.
Yeah.
But with polls, I think it's going to depend on COVID,
Yeah.
I don't know. But what are your ideas?
Well, so I should give you some background first of all. So I was in the political science student organization for the University of Colorado. So this was 2 years ago. And when I showed up, I was literally the only Republican. There was probably 12 or 15 students that were in the group. The only Republican there. And so basically what I got to experience was I would be simultaneously debating 12 to 15 educated Democrats at the same time. And so I learned really well, but also I wasn't debating them in a way to make them look stupid, which if you were debating Polis, you would be debating him to make him look stupid. That would be your goal basically. Yeah. And to convince the audience.
I'm smart. Like that's going to be hard. I think we got to make him look arrogant or dismissive.
Yeah.
Or like make him catch him trying to make me like use the woman card kind of thing. Or, I don't know.
Yeah. So, the idea is to convince your audience that you're the person with the better argument. So, but in this political science organization, my goal was not to make the other person look stupid, because I had to maintain a relationship over, multiple meetings. So I couldn't just, be a jerk to them, basically. So what I learned was how to make compelling arguments, not to make them look stupid, but to actually start to change their minds. So a cool example was at the beginning of the semester, not a single one of them was pro Second Amendment. By the end of the semester, all of them had come around to being pro Second Amendment. And it was all because I would make arguments that were, obviously arguments need to be logically based, but also emotionally compelling. This is what frustrates me so much about Republican politicians. They're so logic oriented. They're thinking about the taxes. We want to cut taxes. We want to, increase the job numbers. And it's that you are not getting people excited about you by talking about all those things are important. But so when it came to guns, I would talk to them about things like, wouldn't you want a girl to be able to defend herself if she was being sexually assaulted? Things like that, where it's you can actually picture a girl walking down, a dark alley or something, but now rather than her being the victim, the criminal is actually running away scared. What? That's female empowerment to me. That is something, I don't know, that actually emotionally engages someone to come around to what you believe in, because Democrats are very good at making the emotional argument, but not the logical argument. Yeah. And so it's opposite. But just imagine how powerful it could be if you could have both. Okay, and then one last thing. So another thing that I've noticed Republicans sometimes fail at is EDOs, which stands for Election Day Operations. I think we should focus heavily on making sure that the election is conducted with integrity. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, no reflection, no opinion on, what happened in the presidential election last year, but every election, it's important to make sure that it's run transparently.
No, I think the more I've dug into it, Jonathan, there's some serious stuff that needs fixing, and Colorado is not the gold standard that they say it is. Right. So it's worrisome.
So I think we need to focus heavily on making sure we get, at the very least, 50-50 Democrat versus Republican ballot counters. Yeah. Because there just needs to be accountability for both sides, honestly. But you want people to be certain that however the election comes out, that there was no doubt that person was the actual winner. So you want to focus heavily on ballot counters. Democrats typically have a disproportional majority of ballot counters. We need to have 50-50 at least, just to make it as even and fair as possible. Ideally, it would be even more, but 50-50 is great. Reinforce alliances with election officials, just because on the day of the election, there might be disputes in certain counts, and you need somebody you can call immediately to connect with, and so that you can get your voice heard on, even if it's just a batch of 100 ballots or something. Make sure that we have at least we're at least on good terms with the election officials. They don't have to be your best friend, but and then obviously have attorneys on call ready to be at the site to dispute any type of ballot disputes. Yes. Just because at every spot, the Democrats are good at this. They're going to have people there and ready to make their case for why this ballot should be, kept or discarded. We need to have an equal force on our side. So that's something that a lot of Republicans often neglect, is the election day operations, but a lot of times that can actually make the entire difference of the outcome. So anyway, so those are some of the main points that I'd written down. There's a lot of other stuff, but I think that'll probably do for now.
No, this is great stuff.
But
all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put your name in the mix for like any positions we have that we decide we're gonna hire for, but also just try and plug you in to the team so that they know like what you like working on, what you like helping on, and get you involved. So we're kind of in a weird time right now because we're just getting ready for the launch. So everybody's focused on the launch, like the little tour we're going to do and the messaging and everything. But so if you don't get a lot of attention right now, hang tight, be patient. But
cool.
I mean, after things get launched, we're gonna need all kinds of help.
Sweet.
So that's my idea for next steps. What do you think?
That sounds great. So will I be receiving just a follow-up email, or should I email someone, or how do I make sure I stay, connected to the right people?
I'm going to ask Tiffany or Jalen to reach out to you. Let me talk to them about how best to do this, because I've got a couple other people to do that I want them to talk to about helping, not in this capacity, in other ways. So I'm not sure yet. Let me get back to you on what the best next step is. But it'll probably be you'll hear from Tiffany or Jalen, and they'll kind of start looping you into stuff. Cool.
So I wanted to ask you a question before we go. You're going to be asked this question surely by several reporters and journalists. Why are you running for governor?
Because I've been very blessed to live the American dream. I came from nothing and grew up with a family that loved me a lot and encouraged me, but didn't have a lot of resources. And I got to build a business around my passion, the thing that I love. And I want my kids to have that same opportunity. I want you guys to have that same opportunity. And it's going away rapidly. And if we don't put our hands up as the grown-ups in the room that have been so blessed, that's just shame on us,
Yeah.
And so, I get that like identity politics is icky, but I'm a woman and we need to play off of that. And I'm a branding expert, so I know how to message and I know how to bring people together and collaborate. I've built a franchise company, and I'm deeply steeped in education reform in the regent role and just in K through 12. And I know how to speak to that. And I know how to advocate for school choice, which I think is the most important thing we can do right now in our country. And so
100%.
I'm so passionate about getting our country back on track and Colorado. I mean, I do think it's a bit of a moonshot on Colorado. I don't know if it's too far gone. I hope it's not. I hope people wake up. But I got to try. We got to try.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And there's a lot of people in our party in Colorado and in our state that have given up and said, we can't win. He's got too much money. He's got too much this. But throughout my life, I've always been told, you can't do this. You're not going to be able to do this. And that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, we can figure this out. We can do it together. If you surround yourself with the right people and get the right energy, the right movement going, it's at that point, it's not about money. It's about people wanting to be free and being able to live their lives the way they want them to. And that's what Colorado's all about.
Heck yeah. Heidi, you're awesome. You're amazing. You're going to win, especially if you hire me. I mean, I have to say that. If you hire me, you're going to win.
I love that.
So I really enjoyed this interview, this meeting, whatever you want to call it, and I look forward to helping you with your campaign. So
thanks, Jonathan. I so appreciate you being tenacious, because I would have been really sad to look back and have missed out on having you part of the conversation. And so I really appreciate that, and I'm sorry that things got dropped.
Well, I appreciate that. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for your time.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.